everybody, it's Ian the Off Kilter. I hope you're having a great day today. As you can tell, I am yearning for a trip to Disney World or Disneyland at this point. Unfortunately, I don't see that happening anytime soon, but I do recall back to when I did go to Disney and did have the opportunity to go to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party and all the fun things that happen in Disney World during the month of October. I kind of wanted to bring that in a little bit. It's kind of, in a way, an inspiration for today's card. Not really, because it's not Disney themed, but maybe the color scheme. But then again, that is just a Halloween color scheme. Anyways, I'm gonna let y'all decide what you think my inspiration was for this card. But today, we're gonna be putting this card together. It took a little bit longer than I was expecting, but I think overall, the results came out really well. So let's go ahead and see how I put it together. To start off making my project today, I have 3 colors of cardstock. I have an orange, a purple, and a smoky gray. This is from a Close to My Heart card kit from a couple of years ago. I don't know the colors off the top of my head. I might be able to find them, and if I do find them, I'll put them in the description of this video. But like I said, this was from a couple of years ago, so I'm not even sure if they have that information anymore or not. But anyways, this is going to make a great color combination for my Halloween card today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these down into just slightly bigger than an A2 sized card, but I'm going to cut them into strips that are about 1/2 inch. So each of these are going to be kind of stacked into 1/2 inch strips, and then we'll put them onto a card base once we do that. But anyways, first step is to go ahead and cut these down to 1/2 inch. I have a 60-pound Recollections piece of paper that I've cut down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm going to take some tape runner and I'm just going to run it all the way across the front of my panel, so that way these strips have something to stick to whenever I lay them down. It kind of feels a little wasteful to me to use so much tape runner on one panel, but I really want to make sure that these strips are stuck down and don't end up, I think I might be coming to the end of my tape runner, I want to make sure that they're really, yep, there's the end right there. Looks like I need to buy a refill soon. Anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and set that off to the side. And now that I have all of my tape down, I am going to start by taking my strips and just laying them across one by one. Alright, this is what it looks like whenever you finish that step. Somehow, per the norm on my channel, it got off kilter. For some reason, I have a little bit of a strip that's like, I don't know what happened. Whatever. It always tends to do that. That's alright. It's a Halloween card, so it's gonna be a little wonky anyways. We're just gonna run with it. So now that I've gotten all of my strips applied onto my paper, I'm going to go ahead and take my paper trimmer and just trim off the excess, so that way I have a squared off cardigan. It kind of just sounded like I said cardigan, like the kind that you wear. I meant card again, not cardigan. Alright, now that I have everything trimmed up, I'm going to use this Close to My Heart stamp set, which is Monstrous Halloween. There are 4 monsters included in this. And I'm going to use some Versamark ink. I don't think I'm going to be doing heat embossing. What I think I'm going to do is use the Versamark as its intended purpose and just use it as a watermark ink. And I'm going to create a background on this just using that watermark, so that way it will kind of be there, but not like fully there. So it's kind of like a ghosted image, if you will. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna grab probably my stamp platform so that way I can get good impressions and kind of just randomly put my stamps on there. Okay, unfortunately that is super hard to see. It's there, but it's just like, it's only when it shows up in the light can you really see it. I don't know, I kind of want it to stand out a little bit more. It just seems too hidden to me. Maybe it's a good thing that it's kind of hidden, because it's almost like, you know, when you're in a haunted house or a spooky house and your eye like catches something just off to the side. I don't know, I kind of don't like it though. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and use some clear embossing and powder and see like what it looks like whenever I heat emboss it. Oh, see, that already looks so much better just like that. I haven't even heat embossed it yet, and I already like that that looks better. So I'm not gonna heat emboss it yet. I will need to do some more stamping first. So I'm gonna try and not disturb that. This is always the hard part, is like trying to make sure that I don't disturb the embossing powder that I've already put down. But anyways, I'm gonna try that and we'll see what happens. It's not easy to see them right now because they are not heat embossed yet, but I have my main images stamped. I tried to be as random as possible. It didn't quite work out, especially when you're working with just 4 stamps. It's really best to work with odd number stamps whenever creating a background kind of pattern, but not a big deal. Whenever you're trying to create a background stamp, it's not always easy, especially when you're using 4 main images. It's usually best to work in odd numbers because you don't have as many patterns and you can create that kind of like organic look to it. That's okay though. I'm gonna use some of the extra images in the stamp set. So I have like this little lollipop image, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna hand stamp these onto the card so that way I can kind of break up that monotony a little bit. Okay, I've stamped a few extra images on here. It's really hard to see them. I think I may have double stamped in one area. I was pretty darn close. I see it right now. I think it's gonna be okay though. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna take some of my I stamped in Versamark, I should say, and I'm gonna take some of my clear embossing powder and just drip it over half the card, tap that off, and then flip it over to get the other half. That doesn't look half bad. I know it's really hard to see on camera. I'm gonna go ahead and heat emboss this so that way you'll be able to see it a little better. I learned a really cool trick from Kathy Zilski. She takes a clothespin to do her heat embossing. I need to be very careful not to get that onto anywhere where the powder is, but to save my fingers from getting hot, I'm just gonna use this clothespin, and that way my fingers stay nice and cool, but the rest of the panel gets nice and warm. Okay, I've heat embossed it, so as you can see, all my images are now shiny. It looks so much better. I'm so glad I did the embossing. They look a little distressed. They're not nice and smooth and pretty, but I'm actually okay with that. This is a Halloween card after all, and I kind of like that they have a distressed look to them, so I'm running with that. My paper did warp a pretty good amount. It's just the nature of how it happens, and we're gonna run with it, and I'll use some extreme adhesive to actually attach it onto my base so that way hopefully it flattens back out. Next up, I'm gonna use this sentiment that says have a monstrous Halloween. I think that's gonna be perfect for the card. I'm gonna go ahead and stamp it on some black paper. Since this is a Halloween card, I feel like the black paper with the white sentiment is gonna be perfect. I'm gonna be using some more embossing powder this time. It is embossing powder white, super fine from Ranger, and I am stamping this kind of in the middle of my scrap piece of paper here because I want to use a die to cut it out. So I'm just kind of giving myself plenty of room on all sides to make sure that I don't end up backing myself into a corner, if you will. So I'm gonna go ahead and heat emboss this and then cut it out using a die. I have to give a super huge shout out to Cinnamon Cooney, the Art Sherpa, and Kathy Zilski. They were kind enough during one of my live videos to make a donation to my channel using the super chat, and I was able to get this waffle flower A2 die set that I've been wanting for a while. I've had stitched rectangle dies for a while, but sometimes you just want a single rectangle. You don't want the stitches or anything like that. So thank you so much to Cinnamon and Kathy. I am so excited to have this die set, and this is the first time I'm using it, and it is wonderful. I've framed out my sentiment, and I'm gonna go ahead and use my die cut machine to cut it out. Another thing that I wanted to mention quickly is I love that Waffle Flower includes a magnetic sheet. At least they did for these A2 dies. I love that they do that because most of the time I have to go to Home Depot or buy them off of either a crafting website or some sort of website to get these magnetic sheets, so that way my dies have a place to rest, but I love that Waffle Flower already includes it. Alright, next up I'm going to take my sentiment that I just die cut and I'm going to use some foam adhesive to go ahead and pop it up and give it a little bit of dimension. Alright, it's kind of hard to tell how straight on everything is because this side is all kind of cattywampus and this side, oh, I don't want to put it on just yet. I forgot. I'm gonna leave those for a second. See, this is what happens when I just like don't even make a plan. I just go into it. Anyways, let's get a card base to put our card panel on before I start applying our pop-up items. I have a card base here. It is Neenah's Solar White 110 pound cardstock, classic crest, and it is an A2 top folding card. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take my Tombow Extreme adhesive and just run it around the perimeter of my card panel here and attach it onto my card base. There we go, and as with every card I ever make, it seems like I can't get them exactly straight, so I have a little bit of a white line on both sides, and then it doesn't quite match up at the bottom. It doesn't matter, guys. It really is perfectly fine. I would love to be perfect with my cards, but let's be real, life isn't perfect. So anyways, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and take my sentiment and pop it up here on the front of my card. Now it's interesting because, you know, for something like this, we might want to put it like directly in the center of the card, which I may still do, but for some reason our brains like to have a little less space at the top and a little more space at the bottom. I don't know why. It's just how our brains are calculated or calibrated for some reason. I don't know. So I'm gonna go a little higher and put it on just like that. It also doesn't help that my lines are crooked. They're not straight up and down perpendicular, or excuse me, parallel. Obviously I need to go back to geometry, but anyways. So there you have it. It is a fun card. It takes a little bit of time, especially with the background stamping and creating of the stripes. It takes a little bit of time, but I think the result is pretty fun and I know my recipient is gonna love it. Halloween is fast approaching, even though it doesn't quite feel like it in the weather. I know it'll be here sooner than I think. I hope you liked today's video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, let YouTube know that you liked my video, and then hopefully YouTube will share it across YouTube land. Also guys, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and get great updates every time I post a new video, or go live by clicking that bell notification icon. Also, you can get social with me over on my social media links. Those are also listed down in the description below. I hope everybody has a great day, and remember guys, normal's just a setting on the dryer. Bye!